J.J. Redick has signed a 4-year, $32 million deal to become the next Lakers head coach. Now, that's $8 million a year he'll be getting paid. You could do some quick math with California taxes. He's getting $4 million. He signed a 4-year, $16 million deal to become the Los Angeles Lakers head coach with LeBron James, who's obviously his podcast co-host. With how many years does he have left? 2, maybe. Anthony Davis, obviously, he's going to be the star of the team. They have the 17th overall pick in the draft that's coming up. What will this Lakers team look like this upcoming season as J.J. Redick embarks on his first head coaching season? Now, I don't appreciate or like how J.J. Redick has been talked about.
Sure. It's interesting.
By a lot of people who have been co-workers of J.J. Redick. And I am not somebody who is tight with J.J. Redick. I am not, I don't have J.J. Redick's phone number in my phone. I don't know if he's been on the program, I think one time. I don't really chat with him or catch up with him. But J.J. Redick played 15 years in the NBA. I think he made the playoffs 14 times. Okay, for teams he was on. Was he the star of the teams? Well, I'm sure there's people that are going like, holy shit, that's J.J. Redick because of what he did at Duke. But you're talking about a guy who I believe was considered a leader on every one of his teams. 14 of them make the playoffs in 15 years. 14 times his teams made the playoffs that he was on. He averaged 13 points. He has a 12,000-point scorer. Everything he accomplished in basketball would lead you to believe, oh, this guy might be a good coach.
Sure.
Been around a long time, knows a lot of the basketball, is a basketball savant. He was actually being introduced on a lot of these shows on ESPN as a guy this guy's a basketball genius. He's been around a lot of winning cultures, yada, 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 J.J. Redick. And now that J.J. Redick got the job, or was seemingly going to get the job, a lot of people on TV are acting like he's not the right guy for the job. If an ex-player with 15 years of experience who is a basketball junkie who is able to showcase his big brain in the Mind Game podcast with the star of the team who happens to be LeBron James and didn't seem to be nervous, would he not be a guy who is seemingly a good candidate for the job? And wouldn't the people that had that guy on their show want people to believe that their show had the Los Angeles Lakers head coach on the show? None of it really makes sense about the chatter around J.J. Redick. Is it because potentially they weren't the ones that knew that J.J. Redick was maybe going to be?
Could be.
Is it that level of pettiness? Or is J.J. Redick going to stink as a head coach? I guess that is what we'll see. That is what is alleged and being alleged seemingly by a lot of his former co-workers now at ESPN and around the sports media world. But what if this guy is the next one? What if Joe Mazzulla and J.J. Redick are the next batch of great young coaches that go on and take over the entire NBA? There's a chance, but that situation in L.A. is not the most desirable Boston corner.
No, it's brutal, but they have LeBron and AD like you mentioned, and that's awesome. But everything you said about J.J. Redick is exactly why you would hire the guy. If they do view him, especially with the Lakers, kind of history with Pat Riley, it is a very similar situation to that. Now, obviously, Pat Riley has gone on to be one of the greatest, front office head coach members, players of all time. But if you're just betting on somebody, wouldn't you want to bet on a guy who's been in locker rooms? He's played in different eras of the NBA, obviously, because he played for so damn long. And, he does have a good relationship with LeBron, which has been the story with the head coaches of the Lakers. Hey, LeBron and the head coach aren't seeing eye to eye. That's been a huge reason why they've had to fire coaches over and over again. So it doesn't make any sense. The 35-year-old Joe Mazzulla just won an NBA championship, so age shouldn't be a thing whatsoever. It's baffling, really. I'm jacked up because J.J. Redick.
I'm kind of jacked up for J.J. Redick to have to do press conferences.
Bingo.
Because he'll get a little
backwards hat.
Yeah,
he'll get after it.
Certainly, Cowherd's not going to be pumped about that. There's going to be others that aren't going to be thrilled about the whole, yeah, bro,
Of course.
Owners of teams wear backwards hat. People wear backwards hat.
Right.
It's 2024. That is, we aren't in those times anymore in this.
Right.
But J.J.'s got a little. Jay's got a little edge.
He's got that.
You piss him off a little bit. JJ is going to give his thoughts. And if he's in Los Angeles, obviously there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be asking a lot of questions. The expectations are going to be what they're going to be. We're going to get phenomenal press conferences out of J.J. Redick. The NBA is going to have great storylines with J.J. How about when he revisits one of his teams that he played for, all the teams that he played for, whether it's down New Orleans or Orlando or Milwaukee, whatever. He's going to go everywhere. The conversations with the adjustments that he's going to make for these entire things. The things he said on Mind the Game, are they coming to fruition in real life? In theory, Coach J.J., is it as good as reality. JJ, I mean, let's go. Let's see. And for the Lakers, $70 million was the alleged number that they were going to pay Dan Hurley to be their head coach, allegedly, all of that stuff. $32 million, which is actually $16 million after America. Congratulations, they signed $16 million. Well, California more specifically, and federal income tax. They just signed a $16 million deal over the next 4 years to be the coach. Congrats to Uncle Sam getting that money in there. They didn't pay nearly as much as they thought they were going to have to pay a coach at one point, or were alleged to be okay in there. And JJ seemingly wanted to be a ball coach. So now he gets the opportunity to do it with one of the most famous and successful franchises in the history of sports, and obviously in the NBA. Joining us now is a man who maybe has a little bit more information about it all. Senior NBA insider for FanDuel TV and The Athletic, ladies and gentlemen, Charania. Just like you said was going to happen on May 24th on this program. I don't know where you said it anywhere else, but JJ Redick is now the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. 4 years, $32 million deal. It was in your article that you reported that. It's actually 4 years, $16 million, with Uncle Sam and the California taxes being what they are. So let's just go through this whole thing. Why do you think there is a narrative out there that JJ Redick is maybe not the right coach for the Los Angeles Lakers? And how pumped is JJ Redick to now be a coach in the NBA? You can kind of answer that however you want. And congrats on calling this about a month ago.
Yeah, JJ Redick is ecstatic to get this job. He really wanted to be an NBA head coach, and he's been on two different tracks here, right? We know about his media career. We know his role as an analyst, calling games this season at a high level, calling games in the NBA Finals. And as much as he was deep on that and he was really committed to that, there was another lane that he was pursuing, and that was being an NBA head coach. He interviewed for the Charlotte Hornets job about a month and a half ago, and that was an important job for him as well. If the Charlotte Hornets had offered him that position, I think that was something he would have taken very seriously. But when the Lakers position opened up and when that became a viable option for him, obviously, he had interest, and in my sense is even watching and calling some of these games in the NBA playoffs, that gave JJ Redick an understanding of what he would do if he was an NBA head coach, how he would operate. And everything kind of crystallized really over the last couple weeks. And a big component of that was him going in and spending time with Jeannie Buss, ownership, and the Lakers, and sharing his vision. And what the Lakers saw from JJ Redick is a coach that's flexible, someone that is not going to be stuck on a roster to be able to determine and dictate exactly how he wants to manage his team offensively and defensively. He wants to be flexible. And I think he looks at guys like Eric Spoelstra around the league that have the ability to essentially mold their team, mold their system based on the roster. That's going to be very important for him. And the other component is he saw with this team two issues and things that he wants to go in and work on. And that's Anthony Davis and his workload, and offensively, how Anthony Davis was being utilized the last couple of years. He wants to make Anthony Davis feel more involved, especially down the stretch of games. And then another thing, and this is more important, Pat, and we're going to see how this plays out. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. But playing LeBron James more off the ball, that is something that JJ Redick has spoken about over the last couple of weeks in his conversations with the Lakers. We know how dominant LeBron is on the ball, so how can he make this work? Maybe having three ball handlers to really start the offense. So all of this started to crystallize with JJ Redick. He's really been the focus for the Lakers for the last month. He's the guy that they've wanted really for the last 4 weeks of this coaching search. And it wasn't a coincidence. I think I said it around that point. It was interesting that the timing just start to align with the NBA Finals coming to an end and them really gearing into shape with JJ Redick. And finally agreeing to that contract yesterday. But JJ Redick really started on the job this week. He had a conversation with Anthony Davis, I heard, on Monday. Cool. And they had a conversation. They spoke about how JJ Redick views Anthony Davis. So JJ Redick, in his mind, has really been aiming and pushing on this job really since the week began.
We're happy for JJ. Congrats, JJ.
Attaboy, JJ.
If this is what JJ wants, happy for JJ. And I think there was another place he obviously, you've chatted about in the past where he could have been a head coach. He is a ball lover, and I think that's the trait that you basketball.
Pause. Yep.
Basketball lover.
We got you.
He's a junkie. He's a fiend when it comes to the game of basketball.
Basketball junkie.
Nose ball, basketball lover.
Right.
He lives and breathes this. And that's something the Lakers can see as well. That's what anyone that spends any time with JJ Redick, they can see how much he loves the game. And you have to be tireless when it comes to that profession of coaching. There's no day off, there's no night off, there's no second off. And the fact that JJ Redick understands that, he embraces that challenge, and that is one thing that he's going to be very happy about, is that this is one position that you can literally only talk about basketball the entire time. There's not much focus on anything else. But when you're coaching the Lakers, there's going to be other things to talk about as well.
That's what I'm saying. The other stuff that potentially comes with this, if you win for the Lakers, and JJ Redick, think about the Duke connections he already has.
Oh, yeah.
Duke has a lot of these connections all over the place. If he wins as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, now it's going to be tough. I understand it's going to be very difficult in the NBA. Could the movies JJ becomes one of the most famous pieces of pop culture in Los Angeles with the way they will think about.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is the perfect candidate for that.
Big push.
With especially the way he speaks, the way.
He's got the look. He's got the LA. When you think about the suits, you think about the look, the hair. That's why Pat Riley gets brought up a little bit.
Tats.
Yeah, he's
That's
got
why
sweet,
Pat
tiny
Riley
tats.
gets brought up a little bit around, behind the scenes with the Lakers. When you think about a guy that's gone from commentating to then coaching, JJ Redick, obviously he played. Pat Riley played. I'm not saying JJ Redick is going to be like Pat Riley, but obviously if you're the Lakers, you have to think about the positives, and they made those comparisons early. And one thing to also point out is Coach K was very involved as an informal consultant as part of this coaching search, from what I'm told. And obviously we know Coach K's relationship with JJ Redick, Coach JJ Redick, and that was someone that the Lakers leaned on, relied on, talked to, not only about JJ Redick, but other candidates, and really getting a feel from Coach K on how to manage, how a coach, especially a first-time guy like JJ Redick, can come in and establish a culture. They don't want JJ Redick to only coach LeBron James for the next 2 years. They want JJ Redick to be their next coach for the next 3 to 4 years. That's why I do think they're going to allow JJ Redick to an extent to coach through some of his mistakes that are going to happen early on.
3 to 4 years is an eternity in the NBA.
Yeah. True.
And head coach, especially nowadays, especially with the Lakers, especially with LeBron, especially in the modern NBA, seemingly. If he's able to win, what a time for JJ Redick. It's going to get loud over there. It's going to get loud.
No matter what.
So if you think about what the Lakers did, they bring in Coach K to consult, okay? Then you're obviously got LeBron James, who's his podcast co-host. It's almost like the Lakers were hoping.
Kind of gift wrap.
They were hoping JJ was the guy.
It was like,
and then they watch Mind the Game. They talked to Coach K.
I think they knew JJ Redick was the guy for the last month, Pat. And I think allowing JJ Redick to fully focus on, what was important for JJ Redick the last month was commentating, was his job. Like there's a lot that goes into calling games, right? And I think he for sure wanted that focus to be on that.
I do wish he would have been like, what they need to do is run the set that we're going to run next year for the Lakers.
Yeah.
So they need to, during while he's
They saw a lot of that on the podcast, though. There was a lot of that on Mind the Game.
Yeah, so
I think they got a great look at JJ Redick, the coach, on the podcast.
Yeah, how about LeBron going, all right, riddle me this. Two guys, and JJ's like, yeah, give me the dry erase board.
Well.
We're doing this. And then all of us are like, wow, I feel like I just got smarter. And LeBron's like, this motherfucker might be a good coach. That is, throughout the entirety of it, the Lakers obviously are going to look to have success. It's not just your stars, though, or your coach. Seemingly, you got to have a full team. We learned that, obviously, with Boston and all the teams that failed. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Shams, you mentioned the roster, and I think it was Brian Windhorst this morning who basically said, like, hey, if the Lakers would have traded for Alex Caruso, that would have been a bigger deal than signing JJ Redick as head coach because their roster has so many question marks. So what are they going to do to kind of try to fill out this team and make them more competitive? Because they obviously can't just run back what they did last year with how tough the Western Conference is.
That's why the pressure is on the Lakers front office to make major changes on the roster to an extent because, like you said, this team came up short this past year. And when you think about JJ Redick and the principles that he wants to implement, defense, point of attack defenders, versatile players, and what we saw with Boston, like a few years ago with the Warriors, you saw the Warriors kind of change the game. I think the Celtics, in a way, people are going to try to follow their trend. When you think about, they have 5 players, especially in their starting lineup, that can do multiple things. Neither of them are weak defensively. They play both sides of the ball. Right. That is very, very important. And you can't have holes. You can't have a player that might be a negative for you defensively. So I think they're going to look at that side of the ball, and they have to be aggressive. One name that they did pursue last season at the trade deadline that I think teams around the league expect to come up again in trade conversations over the next week or so and makes sense for the Lakers is DeJounte Murray with the Hawks. That's someone that, you think about over the next week or so. What do the Hawks do, not only with the number 1 overall pick, but they potentially have a decision to make with Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, which player stays, which player goes. And the Lakers have maintained a level of interest in DeJounte Murray over the last several months.
No, because we were told Trey's the one leaving.
Yeah.
Not Murray.
And DeJounte Murray's talking to Kawhi Leonard in Paris.
Yeah, you put up a picture of his hair.
Yeah.
So,
well,
does Atlanta not know which one's leaving? Is that like a...
Atlanta is still unsure about which... I mean, a lot of it comes down to value, right? If you can get more value for one player than the other, then you have to look at that. They're still not 100% set on the value that they can attain in the marketplace. And that's why draft is coming up Wednesday, Thursday. There will be a much better sense come Wednesday, Thursday as far as which direction Atlanta could go in. They also, at the same time, they got to figure out that number 1 overall pick, what they're going to do with that pick.